Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. We are 1 week away from Thanksgiving, and the American Farm Bureau says the cost of the big feast is a little bit lower than it was last year. But as KPBS reporter Melissa May tells us, advocates trying to end hunger in San Diego County say they are not seeing much of an improvement.
Chicken broth, man, and bread.
The Rock Church City Heights opened up their campus to help about 300 people who are nutrition insecure.
I'm actually seeing an uptick in this season more than when we were shut down for COVID. We're also seeing an uptick in people that are from other countries that have just moved here. So, you know, Ukraine, Haiti, different countries, people are coming here and just in real need.
Noelle Mitchell with the Rock Church City Heights says they now have food distributions at all of their campuses every month to meet the community's needs and are helping families celebrate the upcoming holiday.
Today we're giving out turkeys, we're giving out Thanksgiving stuffing and broth and just things that you can use for Thanksgiving dinners.
1 in 4 people are living in a household that doesn't have sufficient income to purchase 3 healthy meals a day.
Anahid Bracke is the president and CEO of the San Diego Hunger Coalition. She says while the state of hunger in the county has not changed significantly since last year, one of the biggest differences is the end of pandemic aid for food assistance.
In March 2023, which was the last month that people got that pandemic boost to their CalFresh benefits, we had almost closed the meal gap.
Families will start getting a new major benefit next summer. They'll get summer EBT cards with $40 per child a month to help buffer the loss of school meals. Melissa May, KPBS News.
California regulators have approved new rules for solar panels on apartments, farms, and schools. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson says the decision rejected calls to preserve financial incentives.
The vote is 5-0. The item passes.
California Public Utilities Commission President Alice Reynolds ended a more than 3-year process to overhaul the state's solar rules with those 2 sentences. Single-family home revisions, which slashed the value of electricity produced on rooftops, took effect in the spring. The rules for properties with more than 1 electric meter will, thanks to this vote, go into effect next year. Existing solar customers will continue with the current rules for now. Paying for the grid was the CPUC's primary focus.
At the end of the day, the only source for covering the cost of the system is from customers, and those costs are not going away. And in fact, as Commissioner Reynolds said, you know, we're seeing a lot of price and cost pressures.
Critics blasted the proposed decision, which eliminated the mechanism for sharing solar credits when multiple customers were served by 1 solar array. A late change allowed that sharing for rental customers in multi-unit complexes, but not building owners. That hurts the ability of apartments, schools, farms, and small businesses to save money by installing solar. The CPUC commissioners repeatedly emphasized their goal was to share the costs of keeping the grid reliable.
Those investments mean costs that will have to be paid for, and making sure that we're getting customers who are using the grid and benefiting from it. Contributing to those costs is important to make sure that service is affordable for everyone.
A legislatively mandated review led to the dramatic revision of the state's solar rules. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
I'm Ariella Scalise, and coming up tonight, we're talking about more wet weather returning. Then we're dry, warm, and windy to start Thanksgiving week, but turning cooler by the Thanksgiving holiday. Lots to talk about. It's all coming up tonight.
UC San Diego will host a forum tonight on global warming, and the message is that, yes, progress is being made. KPBS high-tech reporter Thomas Fudge spoke with the experts and tells us the good news and the continuing challenges.
How do you measure progress when it comes to fighting global warming? Scientists and policymakers had set a goal to prevent the Earth from increasing its temperature by 1.5 degrees Celsius. And we have failed at that. We're at 1.5 degrees already, and temperatures are still rising.
But that's the wrong way to measure progress. The right way to measure progress is to look at the track the world was on 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
David Victor is a professor of innovation and public policy at UC San Diego. He says back then the world was on track to increase temperatures this century by 4 to 5 degrees Celsius.
Now the world is on track for about 2.5 degrees Celsius of warming. So that's still a lot of climate change. We got to get ready for that, prepare for it. That's something that's important for California, for local communities. But it's not 5. And that's the real measure of progress.
The progress of decarbonization is seen the most worldwide in the generation of electricity. In some places, that means an increasing use of solar and wind power. In the United Arab Emirates, which will host the UN Climate Change Conference at the end of this month, it meant investing in nuclear power. If emissions are still growing, when can we expect them to peak?
That might happen over the course of the next 5 or 10 years. A lot of that depends on what happens in China. The Chinese emissions are larger than any other country.
Advances in technology have been at the center of progress, and one way to reduce global warming that'll be discussed at the UCSD Forum is called solar geoengineering. UCSD professor Kate Rickey says this means finding ways to reflect sunlight so the sun rays and their heat do not reach the Earth.
The main way people are talking about doing this is by putting aerosols, so very small reflective particles, into the stratosphere.
This has happened in natural ways when the volcano Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines and blasted volcanic ash into the air. After that, global temperatures fell. Artificially putting reflective particles into our atmosphere is possible but risky, and Ricky points out there is no global jurisdiction that could regulate it. But Victor says that doesn't mean state and national governments can't move forward on their own.
Small groups of pioneers, of firms, of governments, places like California, can go off and do their own thing and move quickly, show what's feasible, what's not feasible, and by doing that leadership, you make it possible to have followership, have more places that emulate that, and that's how these new ideas, new technologies are going to spread, and that's how we're actually fixing the climate.
The forum takes place this evening in the Great Hall at UCSD. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
With Israeli military officials declaring northern Gaza under their control, the battle lines could be moving soon. Israel dropped leaflets today warning civilians in communities near southern Gaza to move to known shelters. This as new waves of demonstrations are taking place in the United States. Laura Aguirre has more.
There is an AK-47. There are cartridges, ammo.
The Israel Defense Forces releasing video it claims shows a cache of weapons, ammo, and other tools of war used by Hamas. Found, the IDF says, inside Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital, where Israeli troops are searching for a second day. CNN hasn't been able to independently verify those claims, and Hamas and hospital officials deny the hospital is being used as a command center. U.S. officials say evidence at the site is strong.
We're confident, based on our own intelligence analysis, that the basement areas of that hospital, underneath that hospital, and the hospital itself, is being used by Hamas as a command and control node.
In the U.S., divisions over the war sparking more run-ins between groups and law enforcement. A demonstration in D.C. overnight escalated to one person being arrested, 6 officers being injured, and some congressional members temporarily evacuated. Morning rush hour in Boston blocked by a pro-Israeli group demanding a ceasefire in Gaza.
It is a scary time to be a Jewish person.
In San Francisco Wednesday, demonstrators converged near where President Joe Biden was speaking at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Many here said they hoped their actions would lead to meaningful change.
But if it's not, we will be back in the streets, and the pressure is only going to increase.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Unionized Starbucks workers across the country are staging what they call a Red Cup rebellion. They held strikes in Los Angeles, Seattle, New York, and locally at the Hillcrest store. Red Cup Day is when Starbucks hands out free, reusable holiday cups to customers. Workers walked off the job demanding management bargain with baristas over staffing levels, scheduling, as well as other concerns. A relief for many businesses along the border as the Ped-West border crossing resumes limited operation. It will be open from 6 a.m. until 2 in the afternoon, only for northbound travelers currently. The closures have taken a toll on the economy, with businesses closing down since the pandemic and Ped-West closures.
I'm really excited, to be honest, because in the last 3 months, the business has been terrible. We are having a very hard time paying all our bills. And it's even worse than when we start the coronavirus right now. There's no people around because it takes so long to cross the border and to go back to Mexico right now.
CBP says the closure was put in place to help agents processing migrants who arrived between the ports of entry. The agency also said it will continue to evaluate the situation along the border and make operational changes as necessary. A stretch of Interstate 10.
Tonight on the NewsHour, Secretary of State Antony Blinken on the Israel-Hamas war and U.S.-China relations. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Thanksgiving means the start of a holiday season filled with gatherings and travel. It's also the start of a busy season for flu, RSV, and COVID. So how do you keep your household happy and healthy this holiday season? Here's Karen Kafa with some expert advice.
Thanksgiving kicks off the bustling holiday season filled with fun, friends, family, and the potential for viruses. Dr. Mandy Cohen, director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, says it takes time after a flu, COVID, or RSV vaccine to build up maximum protection. So the sooner you get a shot, the better.
It does take about 2 weeks for your body to build up the maximum amount of antibodies, but it's never too late. Right behind Thanksgiving, we know we get right into the rest of the holiday season, and we want to be protected again as we're going to holiday parties, we're getting into Christmas and New Year's.
The CDC recommends that everyone ages 6 months and older get a flu vaccine this fall and an updated COVID-19 vaccine, even if you had one last year.
That virus has changed, and the protection you've gotten from past infection or from getting the COVID vaccine has decreased.
Adults over 60 and parents of infants should talk to doctors about whether an RSV vaccine is appropriate for themselves or their little ones. And Cohen says there are easy steps to protect against picking up infections in crowded places like airports and malls.
Masks do work to protect you from what the viruses that are circulating. Of course, wash your hands, bring some hand sanitizer with you, and if you have the opportunity, open a window and go to places where there's more ventilation.
And if you're sick, stay home. It's a season for spreading joy, not germs. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
As students get ready for the holidays, high school seniors are also preparing their college applications. KPBS education reporter MG Perez has more on one South Bay school's effort to meet the deadlines with some fun, too.
Among the hustle and hurry in the hallways this morning, students here at High Tech High Chula Vista are taking part in a college palooza.
Applying for college, it can be a stressful time, but Palooza just really means it's an all-day, all-encompassing event.
There is one-stop shopping for help in filing college applications, applying for scholarship money, and getting critiques on those personal essays required by most public and private four-year universities.
I reworded the last part of it for you, just to see if you liked it a bit more.
17-year-old Xander Valerio and Sofia De Leon are working as a team. They have been friends for the 13 years they've attended high-tech high schools, and now they are preparing for their futures, taking advantage of the support today from staff and counselors. Sofia has already submitted to Stanford for an early admissions decision to study architecture.
I really like math and I really like art, as opposed to reading or writing. But I think it's a great way to combine both of my favorite subjects.
I'm finishing up a bunch of my essays. I have a draft for every single one.
Xander is also applying to Stanford, as well as other private universities. But UCLA is his first choice to study business economics. He says it's a safe space for him to express himself.
being able to like advocate for yourself, but also connect it to something deeper about yourself or like a passion. Something that I like highly identify with is just like the fact that like I have colored hair, or like a lot of the time, like for the longest time, like I've had pink hair. I've gone through like so many different colors, and it's just like attested to like who I am and like my personality.
Across the hall, the College Palooza continued with feedback from teachers on those personal essays.
I'm wondering if you can like loop back somehow to like how that little girl is still you.
The slogan and incentive for the day was "No pie till you apply."
Each student has their own dreams, their own goals. So whatever that looks like, we definitely support them. So success is just having a plan. That's the most important thing.
We're told there was plenty of pie awarded to the 158 seniors for their Palooza progress made here today. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Some exciting news. New pandas could be coming to the San Diego Zoo. During a business dinner, Chinese President Xi Jinping hinted that China could send a pair of new pandas to the U.S. Beijing loans pandas to more than 20 countries around the world, often referred to as panda diplomacy. But China has not granted any new loans to the U.S. for 2 decades. The San Diego Zoo said goodbye to its pandas in 2019. If you want to attend Comic-Con next summer, you have one last chance to get badges. This Saturday at 9 a.m., open registration will commence, and KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando has these tips for you.
In order to get here, hopeful Comic-Con attendees must first run the gauntlet of open registration.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's right. Comic-Con is not something that you can just casually decide to attend.
If you do decide, like, yes, I want to go this year, I want to stress again that, like, we recommend doing some research.
I do highly suggest you go on the Comic-Con website just to kind of read through some of the steps to make sure that you're prepared for it.
Because demand far exceeds supply, so you better know the ropes to even have a remote chance of obtaining a badge at open registration this Saturday for the 2024 convention.
So the number one thing that you need to do is you need to have made a member ID on Comic-Con's website prior to the sale. You only have to have signed up prior to 8 a.m. this Saturday.
Well, the waiting room will open up at 8 a.m. You can technically get in anytime before 8 and 8:59, and you'll be randomized into the purchase process. 9 o'clock, the sale will open. At that point, if you happen to come on after 9 o'clock, then you are put at the very back of the line.
Once you're in the waiting room, it's not going to tell you exactly where you are in the line, but it will give you an estimated time. You'll also have a little, we call him the little green running man, but it's basically like a little status bar. And again, it won't tell you the exact time, but your little guy will either be running real fast or he'll be running real slow.
That can be pretty nerve-wracking. Just chill, don't do anything, don't back click, don't forward click, just wait.
Maybe your time says 15 minutes and then 2 minutes later it's back up to like 35. That's okay. It doesn't mean that like more people are jumping in front of you.
Don't try to register like on your phone or on an iPad, like use a laptop and that sort of thing.
When it is your turn to purchase, you can purchase badges for up to 3 people.
Buying groups really help significantly increase your chances of attaining a badge. So definitely do all that.
If anything does go wrong, take a screenshot, take a video recording, anything that you can do, contact Comic-Con International. There's a contact form on their website, so you can contact them and hopefully they'll be able to help you.
And to all the nerds and geeks out there nervously awaiting their fate, good luck! Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
All right, let's start things off with our weather headlines. Kind of helps organize and break down the patterns that we're going to be seeing here over the rest of the week, into the weekend and into Thanksgiving week. More wet weather returns as we head into Friday night, continues throughout Saturday, and then looking warm and windy as we head into the start of next week. But then things will cool down as we head into Thanksgiving. Tonight's temperatures will be cooling to the 40s and 50s for a lot of locations. Oceanside down to 50 degrees, San Diego 57, and Chula Vista down to 54. 34. Borrego Springs under a clear sky 48, and a chilly one on the way for Mount Laguna at 38 degrees. Into Friday, where we're still going to be watching some areas of showers throughout California. I do think we stay mainly dry as we head into the day tomorrow. But again, it's into Friday night and into Saturday. That's when we're going to start to see that wet weather return. So get out and enjoy what's going to be a nice one across San Diego County. Oceanside 72, San Diego lower 70s, Borrego Springs about 75 degrees, and Mount Laguna you're at 51 throughout the day on Friday. But as we head into Friday night and into Saturday, we're going to watch more of the way of that moisture returning as we go into the weekend. You can see some high elevation snow, and at times things will be pretty windy. We want to take you out the next couple of days here as we do see a few showers returning along the coast as we head into the day Saturday. Kind of short-lived because then we're warm and dry as we head into the start of the week. Temperatures near 80 by the time we head into Tuesday. Further in than we go, and same pattern here as we head into Saturday. That's where we'll be watching a couple of those showers moving on through, and then we see the drier conditions and the warm-up also begin 78, 82 by the time we head into Tuesday. Looking into the mountains where there will be some showers around as we head into the day Saturday. Temperatures will be much cooler, but then we will see temperatures rebound back to the 50s as we start next week. And we take you into the deserts here where there could be a few showers. Otherwise, temperatures start to warm back up with sunshine for Monday and Tuesday. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
And now for a happy ending to a story that we first brought you this summer. It's the story of two young San Diego friends who renovated and recreated a vintage upright piano. As KPBS education reporter MG Perez shows us, the piano has now found its forever home in an extra special classroom.
It's a French classic by composer Eric Satie. The pianist is 16-year-old Ren Berry.
I love this piano. It's so beautiful.
Ren is a self-taught musician who will graduate next spring from Marcy High School in Claremont, an alternative learning community for students with social and emotional special needs. This piano provides music therapy and an outlet for her to express feelings.
So calm and just relieved. All of my negative emotion and stress and anxiety goes away, and it's great. I love it. It makes me so happy.
She loves him, 14-year-old McKenna Stumpo is a freshman at Mission Bay High School, and his lifelong friend and fellow musician, 14-year-old Liam Kett, attends Cathedral Catholic. Together, they used their creative connection to revive this aging Ivers & Pond upright piano. It was headed for the junkyard, but the boys saw something special worth saving.
It started as an 8th grade community service project, but I think it turned into a lot more than that. It kind of turned into a passion project.
Liam is also an artist who painted the piano with visions of sunshine and scribbles and characters inspired by a mural he loves in Ocean Beach.
Art is important to me because it's an outlet for my emotions.
Sun, 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 here it comes.
The renovated piano is named Here Comes the Sun after the classic Beatles song, and it is now an honorary instrument affiliated with the Sing for Hope organization, a New York City-based nonprofit that uses artists everywhere and of every age to bring hope, healing, and inspiration through art to people who need it most, starting with restored pianos.
It just seemed like it was meant to be. And the kids are just in love with it and so grateful.
Felicia Feast is the Marcy High School psychologist who learned about Liam and McKenna's Sing for Hope piano in August when the boys had finished their creation.
The kids here had been asking, they've been saying, the piano, we love playing the piano, but some of the notes don't sound, it's not in tune. We need another piano. So I had it in my mind. I kept hearing them say that, and I heard it was looking for a forever home. And I just was like, that's Marcy. That's Marcy.
May Fuentes Lipman is a Marcy student who wasn't comfortable talking to us about the piano. She just wanted to play, and she did.
I would hope that the art can inspire them to create, and the music they can hear from it will inspire them to listen to music, play music, create music.
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say.
But this synchronicity of sound made a much deeper spiritual connection, too, and not just for the Marcy students.
The Beatles were like the soundtrack of my childhood. My dad used to sing, "Here comes the bus, do-do-do-do," when he'd walked us to the bus.
Little darling, it's been years since it's been here.
Felicia Feast lost her father, Luis, just a few weeks ago. He died October 31st, leaving her with a lifetime of love, laughter, and musical memories. She says the piano and its creators have honored her late father and provided some comfort and closure.
Here comes the sun. Here comes a light in the dark that you haven't seen in a while, you know? The long, cold, lonely winter, it's finally over.
It's an uplifting thing to think about. You know, we all have struggles and bad days and days where we're not okay. And it's just something to always think about and remember that there's going to be times where, you know, the sun is going to come up and everything's going to be okay.
MG Perez, KPBS News.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. Workers at GM have voted to ratify the deal that brought the historic 6-week strike to an end. NPR's Morning Edition has more on the UAW's contract. And KPBS Roundtable is discussing the death of San Diego Padres owner Peter Seidler, how he helped shape the team and became beloved by his fans. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.